Hello everybody, this is Z21GamerLuke, and I'm here to talk about Dragon Ball Super Broly. This is a film that I think for the first time has been released internationally, particularly for Dragon Ball, because I think Battle of Gods and Resurrection F were only released in Japan and America. This one, it was released in Spain, France, the UK. It was released all over the world. Many people have been able to see this, and rightfully so, because, well, I'm going to talk about that right now as I talk about why I believe this is possibly the best film that I've seen this year. And I know that's kind of a bold statement to make, especially considering, well, the year's just only fucking started, but I can tell you right now, this is the best film that I have watched this year and possibly ever will watch for this year. I'm talking better than Captain Marvel, Avengers Endgame, Spider-Man Far From Home. I mean, I know I'm just only listing Marvel movies now, but those are the only top films that I think are coming out this year that I can think of because I've seen trailers for them. But any other film that's coming out this year, or any film that I may watch for the first time that may have been released in previous years, none of those films will ever be able to top this film, and I'm going to tell you why. But first, I'm going to talk about a few of the things that I didn't like about this film. It's only two minor things, but they are noticeable. It's just that when they are noticeable, I'm able to overlook them. The first one is how this film was advertised. Now, as a lot of you people might be aware, the way that this film was advertised was not particularly good. You know how Marvel films only have about 3 trailers and they're released relatively apart from each other? This film had about 5 trailers. The first one came out, didn't really show a lot at first, but obviously it caught our attention because it's an upcoming Dragon Ball film. The second trailer gave a bit more away about the story, more so the first third of the story, but not a lot. Kind of what we were used to at this point. And the third one was just action. It was like showing a lot of the action scenes that were soon to come in the film. And then they made a fourth trailer, which was a music video trailer, which was just more footage from the film that we hadn't seen before, edited over the main theme of the film, Blizzard. And then finally there was I can't remember how long it was, but it was a 30-second fifth trailer advertising about Gogeta and how he was going to be in the film. Now, I really do think that Toei Animation pushed too far over the boundary in releasing 5 trailers for that film, because I feel like that trailer only really needed about 3 or 2 trailers. Like Masako X said ages ago on one of his videos talking about how Toei Animation had released a lot of trailers. If Toei Animation was worried about us forgetting that there was an upcoming Dragon Ball film this year, then they shouldn't, because as a lot of you know, Dragon Ball played a huge part last year. We had the ending of Super, we had the Goku balloon being in the Macy's parade in New York. Was it New York? I can't remember. There was a lot of DLC added to Fighter Z, and then a brand new Dragon Ball film was coming out. And I feel like giving too much of those trailers away spoils the film. More specifically, with the 5th trailer giving away Gogeta. Now, before this trailer came out, well, actually, the day that this trailer came out, I saw that. I saw that a lot of people were drawing fan art of Gogeta as Super Saiyan Blue, and I thought, maybe Gogeta's going to be added. Maybe Gogeta Super Saiyan Blue is going to be added to like Xenoverse 2 or Fighter Z, as I don't really know why they're drawing him. And then I found out through an Instagram video, like a really short Instagram video, that Gogeta was going to be in Dragon Ball Super Broly, and that pretty much gave away how the film was going to end. Not entirely. I was still surprised by how the film ended. It's like I still had surprises from it, but by adding Gogeta, you kind of spoil the final act in a way that back in 2016, when the 3rd trailer for Batman v Superman came out, and they just showed Doomsday fighting Batman, Superman and Wonder Woman. That gave away how that film was going to end, in a sense. And I don't really feel like they should have done that. I feel like they should have just stuck with just like two or three trailers. One, explaining like what the main focus of the film's going to be about. Two, explaining a bit more in depth about the story. And maybe a third one showing a bit more of the action, but that would be kind of a stretch. The fourth and the fifth one, I don't really think served a purpose of being there, but at the same time I was still able to go into the cinema to watch this film, mostly spoiler free and unexpected of what was to happen with that film. So thanks to Toei Animation for not spoiling everything about this, even though I did hear that the first 55 minutes were leaked onto YouTube before the film debuted in Europe, and or was it in Japan? I'm not sure. The second thing that I didn't really like about this is very much more minor compared to the trailer problem, was that Gohan wasn't in the film. Now, I'm only really saying this because I'm a massive Gohan fan. He's my favourite character from Dragon Ball, and the fact that he didn't appear at all in this film kind of made me feel disappointed. But then at the same time, I felt like if they included him, he wouldn't really serve much of a purpose. I could just be going to a conference, and as in that would be it. If he tried to fight Broly, we all know that Broly would curb stomp him, and then the fight would just go straight to either Vegeta or Goku. So I could understand why they didn't put him in the film, but at the same time, it left me a little bit disappointed. But it's something I can look past, and why can I look past this? Because my God, this film is amazing. As I said earlier, this film is fantastic, and I don't even know where to start when talking about this. Although, if I were to think about one place to start, it would definitely be the story. So that's what I'm going to do. Broly is a baby born on the Saiyan planet with an abnormally large power level, but his power is only ever abnormal most of the time, and as a lot of the Saiyan scientists think that, oh, maybe this is the readings going wrong, or maybe he doesn't have control of this full power yet. Either way, King Vegeta orders for him to be exiled to another planet, and Broly's father, Paragus, gives chase after Broly's space pod to make sure that he's alright, and from that moment on, he swears to raise Broly into a full-on killing machine capable of enacting revenge on King Vegeta. Although sadly for him, he may never get to act that revenge, because around 5 years later, as we all know as fans of Dragon Ball for a long time, Frieza destroys planet Vegeta largely because he fears the legendary Super Saiyan, only missing King Vegeta's son Prince Vegeta, as well as a few other Saiyans, including Goku, who's sent to planet Earth, is in order to be kept safe from Frieza's rampage, because Bardock kind of suspects it before Frieza throws the Death Ball straight at their planet. Cut to years later. This is cutting right through the story events of Z. Was cutting right through the story events of Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, and Dragon Ball Super. This film takes place after the events of the Tournament of Power. Goku is sparring with Vegeta in a desolate ocean near Bulma's holiday home with Whis and Beerus. And the reason why Goku is training with Vegeta, not just because they're Saiyans and they love to fight, but he still has an ambition to get stronger, especially after the Tournament of Power really opened his eyes and showed him what kind of levels he could achieve, particularly when he unlocked Ultra Instinct, which you can't do on planet Earth because I don't know, maybe it's because it was maybe it's because in the Tournament of Power I think he was pushed to his limits, like his very limits, to the point of death, I think. And that's why he wasn't able to achieve Ultra Instinct. And let me just make this point right now. I am really glad Ultra Instinct wasn't a part of this Dragon Ball film, because I'm just going to say it right loud, I didn't really like Ultra Instinct as a concept in the Tournament of Power. It looked cool. It definitely looked cool. It had a cool aura, but it kind of screamed out arse pull. If you guys know the phrase. If you don't know the phrase, it basically means when a character literally pulls something out of their... No, Goku doesn't literally pull this form out of his ass, but it feels like it's a form that kind of comes out of nowhere. There was a little bit of foreshadowing to it at the beginning of Super, but I do feel like it was kind of a it was kind of a last minute decision to give Goku a new transformation in order for him to stand up to the then strongest to the then strongest fighter of the Tournament of Power, which was Jiren. It felt too random, even for something like Dragon Ball. It felt too random, and it felt like just another reason just to give Goku another power boost, in order for him to take on the main baddie instead of, I don't know, maybe Vegeta or even Gohan. I'm just throwing ideas at the wall. Anyway, back to the film. So Broly and his father Paragus, they've been on this desolate planetoid for years and years and years because the spaceship that Paragus used to chase Broly down broke down. So they were basically trapped on that planet until they're rescued by two new members of the Frieza Force, Chilai and Lemo. I don't know. I hear people pronounce it differently all the time. I'm just gonna keep calling him Lemo. So they find Paragus and Broly, and they take them back to Frieza, and Frieza gets the idea to use them to fight Vegeta and Goku on planet Earth, whilst he uses the time to use the Dragon Balls. And the reason that he wants to use the Dragon Balls is actually quite a funny reason. Like earlier on, when Goku, Vegeta, and Bulma are heading to the Arctic to find the last Dragon Ball, because Frieza's forces had been sent there secretly to gather them. Goku asks her why Bulma wants the Dragon Balls. Bulma says that she wants to be 5 years younger than she is now, and we suggest that why doesn't she just go for a full 10 years? And Bulma says, well, then that would be too obvious, as then people would notice. And as then it immediately cuts back to Frieza in a ship with his workmen, with his servants, I should say, asking him why does he want the Dragon Balls, and he says he wants to be 5 centimeters taller. And they ask him why doesn't he ask to be much taller than just 5 centimeters? And he said because it would be too obvious. That got a laugh out of me and a load of the other people that went to see it in the cinema. That was an expected comedy, and it was brilliant. So it all comes down to Goku and Vegeta arriving in the Arctic. They scare away Frieza's forces. Frieza arrives on planet Earth, and he brings Paragus and Broly down. He brings Paragus and Broly down with him. Paragus immediately sees Vegeta and orders for Broly to attack him, and immediately the third act of the film begins. And the third act is basically just one long fight between Broly, Vegeta, and Goku. And the whole realization is not to stop Broly from destroying the planet, but to calm him down, because Broly's in pain. He has this he had this electric collar around his neck, which Paragus used to keep him in order in case he ever went too rogue. Luckily for him, though, Paragus's remote was stolen by Chilai earlier, so he has no control over Broly. So this Broly, who was basically raised into a killing machine, whether he liked it or not, is now fighting just because his father's saying so. And he's putting himself through all this pain and suffering and screaming as he's fighting. And Goku slowly realizes that this guy isn't bad. He's just really, really, really powerful. And then eventually, through a load of ki blasts and high-level attacks and as a hell of a load of screaming, which we as Dragon Ball fans have come to know and adore as part of the series, Goku eventually gets the idea to maybe do the fusion dance with Vegeta. Hence Gogeta that was spoiled in the 5th trailer. Now this was to me, and I'm pretty sure to a load of other people, the funniest part of the film, because the reason why Goku feels the need to fuse with Vegeta is because of Broly turning Super Saiyan, and the way that Broly turned Super Saiyan was by Frieza secretly killing Paragus, and then calling out to Broly saying that Paragus was killed by a stray energy blast. So that triggers the Super Saiyan in Broly. It's actually quite an emotional scene when he transforms, because you can see how upset he is, and you can hear the sorrow in his scream as he transforms. But when Goku gets the idea to fuse with Vegeta, he takes Vegeta and uses instant transmission to get away, and then Broly's attention turns solely to Frieza because he's another target. I'm gonna fight him because he doesn't have control of his power. So meanwhile, Goku and Vegeta, along with like the assistance of Piccolo, so he could teach Vegeta how to do the fusion dance. They try and fuse twice, and each time they fail. One time they get too fat, the other time they get too thin. And with each time they fail the fusion, they have to wait 30 minutes before they could try again. So, in universe, while they've been trying to fuse together and failing, Frieza has been beaten the shit out of by Broly for 1 whole hour, and the mere idea of that, thinking about it right now, is just hilarious. The idea of Frieza just being beaten down on by Broly for ages, just. Yeah, it's pretty funny. But eventually, Goku and Vegeta get the fusion right. As they go back to fight Broly, and immediately the fight slowly starts to become one-sided. But I feel like that's for the better. It feels like no side is dominating the other right up until the very end of the third act, when Broly is at his limit, and Gogeta's about to kill him with a Kamehameha wave. And right when you think that Broly's going to die, Chile and Limo, having found the gathered Dragon Balls from Frieza's soldiers, they summon Shenron, and then they use the one wish to teleport Broly back to his home planet. And this is what I felt was the best thing that they could have done with something like Broly, because one of the big fears that I had whilst walking into this film was if they kill Broly, then what they've essentially done is they've introduced an emotional character, but then they've killed him off before he can have any sort of character development. That's one of the main fears that I had going in to see this film. If they had just gone straight up and killed Broly right there and then I would have been really disappointed. But that's not what they did. They let him live. Again, Chile uses the Dragon Balls and wishes for Broly to be sent back to his planet where he was raised, and Broly's safe. He's far from harm. And Chile and Limo, now no longer a part of the Frieza Force, take a ship to that planet so that they can help raise Broly into a more stable Saiyan than what Paragus had in mind, because all that was on his mind was revenge against King Vegeta. Frieza flies off, and Frieza flies back to his army and does Frieza things. And right when you think the film is going to end, Goku finds Broly, Chile, and Lebo on that desolate planet. He teleports to them, and he brings is in capsules from Capsule Corp, the company that Bulma works. It basically is the head of. In a bunch of capsules, he gives them the supplies to live on that planet, considering how it's very desolate, and Broly only survived off of eating the juices out of bugs, which were, as Chile said, very sour. But he gives them the supplies that they need in order to survive on that planet, and the whole reason he did that, because he wants to fight Broly again, and again, that's very much like Goku to do. But this time we know that Broly isn't a villain; he's a good guy. So it's all right for Goku to spare him and let him fight another day, because he's not a bad guy. So Goku's forgiveness is 100% understandable. And right where the film ended, as I like this little clever thing that they did, where right before he was about to teleport to Earth, Chile asks for Goku's name. Goku says his name is Goku, but he says to Broly that he could call him Kakarot because that's his Saiyan name. That speaks to us as Dragon Ball fans that Goku's finally starting to accept his Saiyan name. I don't know what in the fight with Broly caused him to accept his Saiyan name, but hey, I feel like he's accepting it now, and that's where the film ends. So, to me, I feel like this is one of the best stories that Dragon Ball has ever had for a film such as this. As I still really love the story in Battle of Gods, but having watched this, and I know it's fairly recent, and it's kind of unfair for me to make that judgment. But I feel like this story that it gave was Yeah, definitely as an interesting one, because it's not a film about Goku, it's not a film about Vegeta, it's a film about Broly. Like, Goku and Vegeta are in it, they fight Broly, they fuse into Gogeta and fight him, but it's not a film about them. It's a film that's about Broly, and I feel like that alone gives it a strength that I feel the other Dragon Ball films didn't have. And saying that, I know I've only really watched a few of the Z films. Most of them I've only really heard about through Team 4 Star's abridged versions. But I can safely say that this story used for a Dragon Ball film is the best story of a Dragon Ball film, period. It might have something to do with the fact that Akira Toriyama actually wrote the screenplay for this, so that makes it officially canon. But man, this story was brilliant. One thing definitely worth mentioning in this film is the animation style, and I can tell you right now, the animation style in this film is absolutely amazing. The animation style that they used for Battle of Gods and Resurrection F were definitely good. But they weren't amazing. It's like you could see the effort and the detail put in, but you could also notice like one or two moments where things looked a little bit off. With this one, even though it does have like one or two moments where animation kind of does look a little bit off, the rest of it is just amazing. And I think one key factor of that comes down to the shading, the shading, the movement of the animation, and a lot of the hand-drawn style of animation used in this. You could tell whoever animated this film loved the Frieza saga, as Some Call Me Johnny quoted in his review of Dragon Ball Super Broly. You could tell that the animation team, whilst working on this film, were a huge fan of the Frieza saga style of animation from Dragon Ball Z. The detail of everybody's eyes, their clothes, and the backgrounds, you can just tell, wow. Like, just wow. No other words could explain it. Including the CG in this film. One of the main problems with CG animation in terms of anime films is that if not done correctly, it can look like something that's ripped directly out of a PlayStation 2. I mean, I love the PlayStation 2. It's one of the first consoles that I ever owned. But that style of animation doesn't belong in a modern day film, and I feel like that kind of CG level of animation was what brought Resurrection F style of animation kind of down a bit. Like, not as enjoyable. Whereas in this film, you can definitely tell that there's more effort pushed forward into this CG. There's always that. There's always that one. There's always those one or two frames where the CG is kind of noticeable. It could be more frames of animation where it looks noticeable, but everywhere else it looks detailed and it looks amazing. Particularly when Broly is creating a giant green dark ball of energy. The entire ocean is swirling around him, so's a load of snow, and the mountains around him collapse. That was particularly where I think the CGI was pushed to its greater limits of this film. I guess what I should also talk about is the soundtrack of this film. I've heard Kaizen Echo of Team 4 Star say that he didn't really feel like this style of soundtrack should belong to a Dragon Ball film, but at the same time he really enjoyed it. And I feel like this style of music works for a Dragon Ball film, mostly because I've listened to the soundtrack so many times, because every single piece of music in this film has a different emotion to it. Like, it knows how to play over something that's action-packed, it knows how to play over something that's emotional, it knows how to play over something that distinguishes rage. It just works. It just works. And I feel like I'd just be repeating myself if I talked about why this music works for a Dragon Ball film. I guess the last thing I should talk about this film is how it left me feeling afterwards. Like, I'm still smiling at the thought of this film, like, a week later after I've seen it. I left the cinema with, like, the biggest smile on my face having seen this film, just thinking, wow, that was fucking awesome. And now that I've given some time to think about it, the main thought that processes in my head is, where are the creators of Dragon Ball gonna go with this? Because I'm hearing rumours about Dragon Ball coming back, but it's not exactly confirmed yet. If Dragon Ball Super is coming back, but if they do, what are they going to do with Broly? That's what's on my mind right now. What are they going to do with Broly? Because now what they've established with him as a character, they've established that they've shown that right now he is alive and still living on another planet. They've established that Goku still wants to visit Bai someday and still fight him. What are they going to do with Broly? And I really do hope that they don't fuck it up. I really do hope that, because I really do feel like they've got something going with Broly. He's a Saiyan, so he's a Saiyan. That would explain his connection with Goku and Vegeta. He's a very powerful warrior, but not an unbeatable god like Beerus. As well, I say unbeatable, Beerus can be beaten. If they forget about Broly, like they've forgotten about Tien, and only partly have Goku remember about him, as in just write him that he forgets it because Goku's such a forgetful little shit, then I feel like that would have spoiled what Dragon Ball Super Broly established, and I'd stop watching Dragon Ball Super because I couldn't bear to watch knowing that they had something going with Broly and then they would have thrown it in the garbage. That's all rubbish. I should say that, I'm British. So, final thoughts on this film. Well, what more can I say? I love the story of this film. I love the animation. I love the music. I love the sound of it. That's one thing I haven't mentioned, the sound of each and every punch, of the mountains crumbling, the sound of every blast. I love the new characters in this film, I should say. Like, Chilai and Lebo together are the second best batch of characters introduced into Dragon Ball, second only to Beerus and Whis back in Battle of Gods. And most of all, I really love what they've done with Broly. Broly started out as a huge raging monster back in his original Z films. He had his fandom, but he also had no personality and a laughably weak backstory back in those films. He was only ever seen as like the popular non-canon character that not everybody enjoys, but enough enjoy for him to be profitable in video games and as in other media. But now what they've done is they've taken him, made him canon, given him a personality, and also made him likable. And I feel like that alone makes Dragon Ball Super Broly a landmark of Dragon Ball history. I'm straight up giving this film a 10 out of 10. You should definitely go and see it. Well, that is if you can see it. I hear that a lot of its releases are very limited, particularly around the UK. I know it stopped airing in Japan. I don't know if it stopped airing in America, but it might stop airing soon in Europe. So if you see an opportunity to go and see it at cinemas, I highly recommend you see it. And if you miss out on it, wait until it comes out on DVD. As soon as both the pre-order for the DVD and the soundtrack become available, I'm jumping on that shit as soon as I fucking can. As again and again and again, I urge you, watch this film if you are a Dragon Ball fan. If you're not a Dragon Ball fan, you may find a little bit of the continuity a bit confusing. Like if you haven't watched the original Dragon Ball. Well, I guess you don't really need to watch the original Dragon Ball to understand how this film works. You'll definitely need to watch Z and the rest of Super. Well, kind of. Well, that review was absolutely shit because I kept on stuttering and mumbling. This is mostly because I didn't write a script for this, but that's because I didn't want my review to feel robotic. I wanted it to be straight from the heart. This has definitely given me an idea of how I'm going to do future reviews. I'm definitely going to have a script written down for this because this was just way too full of stutters and mumbles. So with that said, thank you guys for tuning into, well, not really tuning in, but thank you guys for watching my, well, not really watching, but listening to my review of Dragon Ball Super Broly. I will see you for the next video in mind. If you saw my announcement video, you'll see that I'm going to be making a review of Super Mario 64, and I'm looking forward to start recording on that very soon. But in the meantime, thank you for listening. Have a great morning, afternoon or evening, whatever time you're listening to this, and I'll see you later.